I'm watching
activities. They have running program, biking program, and today we are going to talk more about biking program. So running and biking have similar philosophies of like taking people in and training them towards longer objectives. And we also on the climbing side, we train you guys to condition yourself and practice those technical skills which we are does teach you throughout the period of training, and we try to insert those more and more. And most of the trips are the operating trips are guided trips.
People are
And,
having a hard time listening online, so if you can speak a little bit louder.
Sounds good. So we'll be talking about that. So as I said, like it is more often like we give you guys some trainings. These are the things that we hope that you guys get out of the master programs, which is basically like not only condition yourself and achieve your objectives, but remembering that this is a cause that we all wanna like fight for or achieve, which is basically like I think Ashish will talk a little bit more today. And without further ado, let me introduce Ashish to talk more about that.
Okay. Could you show that one slide before this one? Yeah. Is this you were talking about?
So this is the main thing. Why you guys are here behind the mountains, and this is what comes with it. Thing that I'm going to talk about. So I've been with Asha for like 4 years now. I got a chance to see how we utilize the money we raised every year. And those 2 days were the most overwhelming and fulfilling days of 4 years of volunteership. So I'm going to talk about those 2 days here. So the kid on the right side is that picture is from a classroom that I went to. So so the money goes to an organization called Crevasses. So they have their own schools here, their programs to help farmers, with technical difficulties and things like that, and to help empower women, women to So this picture is from a school which is up to 4th standard, and classroom. This was the youngest in the class. So
Does that count math for 4th standard?
yeah, so that's what like the teacher to like how the little math so 4th student. I have a quick video of it, but in the interest of time, you can see the answer is there. So this is one of the things that Gravis does as part of our is like fund school, funds teachers, maintain the education quality there. And the kids sounded enthusiastic about studying. So this is like a classroom setting there on the left side, and this kid back there who was the one who solved the math problem. You can see how tiny it looks in the picture. So last year, Sandeep visited as part of Asha, the Gravis.
Year before.
Year before?
Yeah, 2018. Last year you visited.
Oh yeah, now it's 2020. Sorry, I keep saying it last year. Yeah, the year before 2018, Sandeep visited, and one of the schools didn't have better toilet there, so he told us Asha, and then we released extra funds to that. And then last year when I visited there, I confirmed the facilities there.
Especially for a girl child, it becomes difficult if
Yes.
there's no bathroom in the crate.
Yeah, and I got a feedback that the kids are really happy with that. They don't have to walk miles to do things, normal things. And the one on the left side is a technique studying farming by which so they educate farmers. So there is very less water in hard desert. So this technique helps them optimize the use of water whenever it falls on land to use with agriculture. So you can see the small thing he's holding in his hand is watermelon, the small size watermelon that happens in our desert. I think the main problem that is solved by Gravis is water security. That's the picture on the right side. So this is a water reservoir basically. The rainfall is pretty less, like less than 200 millimeter every year here, which is pretty less if you compare it with Seattle. It's about 950 here, and it's 200 there. So whenever they get a monsoon season, which is once or twice or thrice a year, this is made in such a way that it can store about 20,000 liters of water, which is good enough for a family for about 4 to 5 months. And then they can pay to refill the reservoir for the rest of the year. Now, why this is important? Because before this, there was no source of water. So people have to walk a few miles to get water in the small bottles or buckets or whatnot, and then come home. And that part is supposedly the responsibility of girls and women at house. So that prohibited girls go to school because they spend their time, most of the time, collecting water for the family. So this is at their disposal, one per family. So last year, Gravis spent 38 of such reservoirs funded by ASHA.
Just to be clear, Gravis is a bigger organization and they have other sponsors. And
Yeah.
So this is a project managed by ASHA, Fundraise, and like 8 to 12 villages.
Yeah.
We have here.
It's about 5% is funded by ASHA and 95% are other sponsors. So they also have a hospital where they regular health camps, dental, hygiene camps, things like that. And the one on the left is a kitchen garden. So they realize there are some vegetables and fruits that can be harvested in a home setting. So to maximize the nutrition within the family. So it came up with this idea to then help educate the family. How can they develop something that in their backyard? Yeah, so I think I'm run out of slides now. I'll hand it over to PD to talk about thanks. But this is just an idea to let you know guys where the money is used when money that you raise. Thank you.
To add on top of that, ASHA's mission statement is mostly about socio-economic change and providing education to underprivileged children and taking the balance between gender, taking the gender equality, right? And also these are the locations that we fight for is not accessible by means of transportation, like by buses or public transportation. So the government help is quite scarce in these regions. That's why these kind of projects have to be near and dear to us. Having said that, those are the fundraising goals, and that is what we fight for as ASHA and as a team ASHA, where we try to bring you guys to achieve your objectives and also raise awareness about these kind of projects. And the response is one of the departments is planning program, and we help you get to these kind of objectives. This year, typically every year, we do Mount Baker and Rainier as the typical objective, and we have been doing that from 2012, 2010 personal fundraising achievements by Sandeep when we started that, and then 2012 when we got attached to ASHA, and then we started doing training for people and bringing out more athletes into the mountains. And we also have a third mountain, Glacier Peak, which will also be a guided mountain. And as you do Mount Baker, Mount Rainier, and Glacier Peak, if you are doing those 3 summits in a year anyways, we'll give you a benefit of also attempting Mount Adams and Mount St. Helens, which basically gives you a bragging rights of hey, 25 volcanoes over here in the Washington state. for some people who are pretty awesome about their exposure limits and want to try out some rock climbs and in the alpine environment, we do also have a climb, Mount Shuksan, which involves kind of 6 to 8 hours of hike to the base camp in snowfield and a couple of hours of glacier walk, and then it exposes yourself to like a rock climb of like 400 feet of rock, which is also pretty awesome to do that. And there's a training program and progression towards that as well. So with that, this is kind of an introduction to like what we are planning to offer, and I will welcome Sandeep to talk a little bit more about what it means to be on each mountain and what are the logistics besides that. And after that, I'll go over registration fees and fundraising requirements.
How many people on around 20 people? How many people online?
Yeah.
Ah. Well, hello everyone online and everyone in the room here. Thank you for coming to our presentation. I know earlier when we planned it, there was some snow issue and all that. So thank you for your flexibility in coming over here. And it's a bit far away from many people from that area. Also, in general, I feel like I guess there are 20 people online. That makes it. I've seen a lot more people in these presentations, like 50, 60 people. And I was worried whether we would have enough space here. So maybe we can change. Anyway, so I just wanted to add a couple more things. Thank you, Ashish, for talking about Asha and Gravis, and Gravis especially. So let's discuss a couple more things. So Asha and Gravis are two separate entities. So Asha supports many projects like this. Gravis is in Rajasthan, and likewise there are projects in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar, many parts of India, and it's mostly pretty active participation, like active volunteering. You just don't spend money. For each project, there are a couple of stewards. You have to do a yearly site visit. So I am steward for example, Gravis project, which I've been for like 8-9 years now. So last year we couldn't go and do the site visit, so thankfully Ashish was listening. But exactly what he said. Almost every year I go to India, and I do traveling. I go to Nepal, climbing, and somewhere go to Goa or like multiple places. Right? I do travel. And then I go 2-3 days to these site visit for Gravis, and that's always my most fulfilling and most satisfying part of that. So anytime you get a chance, if you get involved, anytime you get a chance to do any of these site visits, it's an amazing experience. Okay. So with that, how do I do the revenue? Something like that.
Was muted for the people on the okay. Oh well. Okay, well, this slide is not as relevant right now. I'll just so how do I check that? But I'll just talk very quickly about it. So I used to personally lead many of these climbs. So, it was more to get confidence of the people that I'm a professional and, I've done a lot of climbing. Nowadays, it so happens I'm not doing many of the Asha climbing leads, but we have professional guides, of course. Hopefully I may join this year or next year, just a few kids and all. But in terms of my experience, 2010 is when first time I led the Asha Rainier climb. Before that, 2006, I took a basic climbing course. 2007, I took intermediate climbing course. Then done a lot of climbing. I went to Nepal right after that and did some climbing there. 2010, we started the Asha Rainier program as a volunteer group, and we every year since then we been leading. So I've climbed Rainier 17, 18 times, Baker similar times, a little more probably, and then many of the other peaks around here. I love rock climbing. I have taken some of the since I 2014 I started my guide company. Since then I taken some guide courses, guiding courses also like AMGA rock guide course and some of that and wilderness first responder. So that's kind of my experience. But all of our and now we have a guiding company, so we do local trips, international trips. Kilimanjaro is very popular, and then some of the other one. We just had a trip in December Aconcagua climb. We do EBC every year, a couple of summits, and one few of our mountaineering courses are very popular too for people who of course mountaineers is great, but sometimes because of people don't have enough time or they have limited time or they want specific professional training within some days, so that's something could be useful for EBC is Everest Base Camp. Yeah. So I'll skip all of that. So I'll just jump into, we're already running a little bit late. So a few of the climbs that KD mentioned, Mount Baker, Mount Shuksan, Glacier Peak, and then Rainier. I'll just give you a small idea about like what the days look like. How many people know about mountaineering here? The people knew, like what's the difference in hiking and mountaineering? Does anyone know? Like climbing? So the main difference is hiking, there is a trail. Then there is something called scrambling, where there is no trail, but there could be some trail, there may not be some trail. You might have to use your hands to get over things, rocks and all that to get to a summit. So that would be scrambling, but still you aren't using a rope. If you fell, hopefully, I mean, of course, in scrambling or hiking also people can get hurt and badly injured or worst scenario, die. But that's very rare, or it's not as common. Hi, Zim. But once it becomes climbing, it means that there is serious danger of some fall happening. If you didn't stop yourself, you can get seriously injured. So in the climbing, there will be a rope between you and the other climbers. Somebody will be either belaying you, like helping you, or if you are walking 3 or 4 people on the glacier, the idea is that if one person fall in the crevasse, then other people can will stop him. So there is always a rope in the climbing. That's the main difference between hiking and scrambling, kind of in between, still without a rope. Once it becomes climbing, you always have a rope with you. So any of the glaciated peaks that Katie talked about, Baker, Shuksan, Glacier Peak, Mount Rainier, you will need a rope for that. Adams and St. Helens, you will need snow skis, but you will not need a rope. You could use a rope, but there is not much point. As long as you are good with your snow skis, you have an ice axe, and you know how to use ice axe and crampons, then you can climb Adams or St. Helens. Differences, a couple of them. One major difference is glacier. So if there are glacier, you almost always carry rope. You almost always walk in rope. So because glacier means there can be crevasses. Everyone knows what glacier is. So glacier is basically a snow patch that's year long, that never gets melted fully. Whereas I guess Adams has on the top some snow that never gets melted. But then the second is because there is a big part of snow. As the summer comes, so these snow moves, like the big chunks of them move, and there is crevasses formed, and those could be pretty deep. You can fall, you can get hurt. At worst, of course, die. Especially if you're not roped up, you can fall quite long. So whenever there is a glacier, there are crevasses, and you always rope up. Two advantages. Like one is if you fell in the crevasse, the other 3 people or someone will be able to stop you and then get you out. because there is 4 people on the slope. There's a lot of friction. There are crampons and also you don't fall. That's the idea, at least. If it's so steep that all the rope team can fall down, then you take some other precautions. Yeah, so that's the in Adams there are some steep sections, but exposure, like if you fell, you can get hurt, of course. But if you have the right skills, it's not that dangerous. Like it's a safe enough mountain. So Baker, Coleman, Deming. So this is Mount Baker. As you can see, this is probably a picture in August, if I remember. And so that's why there is lesser snow. Nowadays, this could be July. It's just the snow is melting quicker, especially this year with less snow. So it might be even, June, who knows, right? But earlier it used to be like August, and in June and July, it will be a lot more snow covered. So anytime, as you can see, it's all covered in snow, and it always stay covered in snow. It can get a little more broken up. When I say broken up, there'll be more crevasses opened up, but there will always be snow on Baker. That's why it's a glacier, and not just it has one glacier. So this one is called Coleman Deming Glacier, and then there is Easton on the other side, and then there are other Squaw Glacier. There are multiple glaciers all around Mount Baker. We many times will do this route here called Coleman Deming, and we'll camp somewhere here where it's not a snow, or like right at the start of the glacier. We do some snow skills practice on the day one. First day you get there, you set up your camp. Day 2, you do some snow skills practice, roping up practice. Maybe you summit that day, depending on the day 3 or whatever maybe the reasons. But many times day 3 you will summit. But it's not like when you are going there, it's your first time you're on the snow. The snow skills practice you would already have done intro to snow skills. You would have done some snow hiking. You may have gone up on St. Helens or Mount Adams, one of those. So there's all that training build up. And I think that makes a huge difference. We are a guide company, and of course we get people from like Florida even, and they're first time doing Baker climb and all that. It can being here to be able to do these training hikes with ASHA volunteers, ASHA leads, to go on all these snow hikes weekend after weekend. It can help a lot with the actual climb when it comes. It's a gradual process rather than learning you can't learn the skills in the one day. So this is for the Coleman Deming route. So we get to, just to give you an idea, we drive to Heliotrope Trail Ridge, around 4,000 feet. The first day elevation gain is pretty small. It's only 2,000 feet, 2,200 or 2,200 feet. Then day 2, as I was saying, either we may summit on day 2 or we will do some snow skills and roping up and all that training. How do we walk together in a rope, and what if somebody falls in a rope, then how do you arrest versus solo ISEX arrest? Is anyone understanding what arrest means when I'm saying? So, and all of these things will become more clear when we are doing the courses. There will be classroom sessions, and there will be sessions by the ASHA leads and by me, our guides, and there will be intro to snow skills. But along with the rope is like a protection that comes with the group. But before it even comes to the group, there is your own protection, and that's using your boots, your crampons, your foot technique, your ISEX that you carry, walking properly so you don't slide. If you do slide, you stop yourself using that ISEX. That's one of the ISEX there, for example. So that's you walk and you get all the training during the part of this the whole program basically. And day 3 we summit, and final summit we are going. So we go to the 6,000 feet, and so if you do see the summit day is pretty big. It's almost 5,000 feet, right? A little less than 5,000 feet. And 5,000 feet, if on the snow, can be a lot of work. So everyone do want to train. Sometimes we go on a upper camp on day 2 and then do the summit. But a lot of time it's easier to be stay in one camp, or sometimes we go on the day 1 itself a higher camp. But there are pros and cons of both, and we will discuss that time when the need be. But there is a higher camp too, which is around 7,000 feet. So that's another picture of it. So you can see this is what I meant by crevasses. And so you're going here, and then you go this side, and then this is the ridge. You go first a little bit on the rock, like kind of scramble, and then you get on the face again in the snow again, and then you get to the summit. It's a really beautiful climb. It's uh, beautiful views all around of the Cascades. Mount Shuksan is one side, and a lot of other beautiful peaks. The only downside, in my opinion, when I'm guiding, especially when I've done so many times, is too many people. But that's true for Rainier also, and many, if you go to Mount Si or any of the peaks these days, right? So just a little bit of switch. I talked about Mount Shuksan. So most of the other climbs we talked about, or KD mentioned, Glacier Peak. Has anyone before heard of Glacier Peak? Yeah, Baker everyone has mostly, and Rainier of course everyone has. So Glacier Peak is another volcano, and we'll talk about that in a couple of slides. So we have 5 volcanoes. Rainier is the largest volcano, of course, and Adams, and then Glacier Peak and Baker, and then Mount Shuksan. So many people like to do like all 5 volcanoes. But Shuksan is not a volcano, but it's a really beautiful peak. It's this picture, they say it's one of the most photographed peak. Many of the mountaineering magazines and books, you will find this picture. Um, and Mount Shuksan is an excited climb because it's not just glacier. There is a glacier, of course, to get to the base of the summit tower, but then there is some rock climbing involved too, and where you need to have some rock climbing skills. And then when you get to the summit, because there is a in the end there is a tower, you get to the summit, you cannot just walk down. So you need to rappel. And rappel is, you use those 2 ropes and you have a device and you come down. If I don't know if anyone has seen in the Bollywood movies, some um, army people coming down from the helicopter. So that's kind of a similar thing.
The other way to look at it is like we have seen glass watching people like glass players. That's they are rappelling down from the roof and
The only difference is they have a very professional tool which will stop them always, and it's they have like backups, and whereas here, and they're also of course professionally trained. Here also you will need to train, and your device is not as bulky and as efficient as what they use, but technique is the same in the end. And we also use other backups, so don't get me wrong. We will have backups there too. It's just different. Because they are hanging out there for hours, right? Like it's whereas we are just coming down, somebody's giving you a backup and you're coming down and we're moving to the next one, whereas they will be spending their hours cleaning the windows. So that's the Mount Shuksan sulfide glacier. I wish I had a picture of the summit tower. Oh, there it is. So you can see, so that's the camp on the right side. That's here. And then there is another tent here also, you can see. So we are camping on snow. And the other nice part about Mount Shuksan is mostly all these places, not all of them, but many of these places, there are those, what are they called, like outhouses, like the previous, where you go and do your business. Except Mount Baker, there is none of that. So Mount Baker, you have to get it back with you. Whereas on Shuksan, at least there is, thankfully, there is one. Rainier, there is one. Rainier one tend to be dirty, but this one is the most beautiful I have been on. You sit there, and there is amazing views of Baker, and it is one of the most beautiful place to go. Okay, so this is the glacier, as you can see. It's a little bit, the glacier part is actually a little bit easier than Baker. It's never so steep comparatively, and it's very beautiful. But then once you get here, then there is most people take this gully, which is easier climb. It's not as steep as it looks because it's a picture from far away. And then some people climb from this ridge also, which is a little more harder rock climb, but out of everyone's way. There is no rock for danger and all that. So if anyone has a little more bug for adventure, and they like exposure, and they like to have some rock climbing also, and a little lesser people maybe, Shuksan is a great climb. The only thing is, for Shuksan, we ran it like 3-4 years now, 3 years, and first couple of years wasn't very successful with the Asha team. And the reason was, again, people not having enough experience with the rock and exposure and all that. So we made it mandatory to have an intro to rock climbing course, as well as then KD made an extra effort to take people on these exposed scrambers, a little more of harder exposure routes on their training hikes. And the third change we did was we did it in weekdays, because during the weekends, it's a gully. If there are people above you, there could be rock fall. You could be waiting for a long time. So there is a lot more chance that you don't end up summiting and you have to turn back. Because there are other people above you and there could be rock fall, and after a certain time on any mountain you have to turn back because you have to get back to your camp, right? So there is always a turnover. So last year we did on weekdays. This year also, that's why we are going with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So you'll have to take weekdays off, but on the summit day, at least it's a weekday. There will be, if any, there might be one rope team or something, whereas on weekend there could be multiple people. And the summit is also very beautiful for Mount Shuksan. Like for Baker, it's a volcano. It's a big summit on the top. You can even untie from the rope. You can walk around, take pictures. And this one is like one or two people can stand on the top at a time. It's a pretty cool experience with a lot of exposure. So, but similar idea. 2,500 hike to base camp, 5,500 feet. There is another base camp, 6,000 feet. And then the summit is 9,131 feet. So a little smaller than Baker. Yeah, good question. So almost always glacier climbs, we climb in the night. Couple of reasons. One is the snow, when it's harder, it's easier to walk on. When the snow gets soft, your feet start to, move around. Even though it feels like harder snow will be slippery and will be harder, but because we have crampons, it works very well. You can walk without losing too much energy. If it's soft snow, your feet slide and your feet are going deep, so you are spending a lot of energy. So that's number one. Then number two is there are sometimes snow bridges over the crevasses. So when it's cold, they are hard, and as the sun keeps hitting them, they can get soft and they can sometimes break. So sometimes snow bridges collapse. So later in the day, there is a more chance of snow bridge collapsing. Then number three also, if there are any places, rocks and all in the snow, as the sun keep melting them, the rock fall danger increases. So all those risks avoiding. And of course, if you're starting in the midnight, you're getting to the summit at like 6 a.m. or so, 7 a.m. or so. It's beautiful sunrise, of course. And then you can come back by 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. at the base camp. So if something happened, if you got injured or something happened, you have whole daylight to somebody come and help you. If you start in the daytime, start to get dark maybe, and now you get injured. Now you can be stuck in the night, or like your rescue could be going on in the night. So there are many factors for. So that's the Mount Shuksan, and these are again crevasses and all. You can see some in between. So we, of course, always try to take a way, navigate around the crevasses. Mostly we are able to navigate around the crevasses. In the rare cases, there might be a slight jump or something. On Rainier, as the season progresses, there are sometimes ladders or on the crevasses too. So this is Glacier Peak. And Glacier Peak, I was talking about guiding and how sometimes I don't enjoy Baker, and Baker is a great mountain. I loved it first time I did it. I loved it few times I've done it. I've done multiple routes on it. There are many different technical routes. It's a great area to ski, like lot of snow sports and ice climbing and bunch of other stuff can be done on Baker. It's just too crowded, a lot of people. If you're looking for remoteness, so in terms of Baker and Shuksan, the main difference was Shuksan is like a little more exposure, rock climbing, a little varied experience. Baker you can think of as mini Rainier. It's pretty much like Rainier, but it's smaller. So you got all the same skills. It's glacier climb mostly. Now the Glacier Peak, the main difference is remote. So if you're looking for less people, that's the peak to go to. It's a lot lesser people. And it's just far away and it's beautiful. You go through long hikes through the forest and ups and down on the passes. It's like a full-on alpine experience. You are backpacking for a couple of days. You are camping somewhere where nobody around you. It's really amazing experience. So I love guiding Glacier Peak. And I think this last year was our second year doing Glacier Peak. I believe. Yeah. And it's been pretty successful for us in terms of summit rates also, if that's a factor. But here you can see there are kind of, we do it in 4 days. Can be done in 3 days too, but it's a long walk. If you see total 15 miles and then 20, 35 miles total. So it's 17, 18 miles one way. So if you, in comparison, if you look at, so that's 18 miles one way. If you looked at Baker, it doesn't say distance, but it's like 6 miles one way. So there is a huge difference, but it's totally worth it. The second is, it's not just 18 miles, there is also some ups and downs. So, you know, so it's a, the other difference is, if you are like, you are more of a backpacker or haven't done any hiking, or if you're looking for a first glacier peak to climb, but still should be glacier, then Glacier Peak could be a good choice, because it's a lot of it is backpacking. The snow and the glacier part is small compared to the rest of it. For example, for Baker, there is a 2 miles hike, and then all of it is glacier. For Rainier, you, once you leave Paradise and, you know, whatever that water thing is, Pebble Creek. Yeah, Pebble Creek. Right after Pebble Creek, you are on snow pretty much, right? So there is no just up, and you are all on snow. You camp on the snow the first day. Here, 3 nights you'll be camping in the meadows and beautiful greenery. So a lot of it is backpacking with some glacier experience in the end. So if you're a little bit unsure about your like glacier climb, this could be a great first uh, merge of like backpacking to glacier climb. So that's that's a picture from 2018, I believe. And I remember this guy Narendra, who has done, I think, Rainier 2-3 times with Asha, and Baker couple of times with Asha, and then he did Glacier Peak, and he said that was absolutely his most favorite climb. So until so far, it was mostly, you know, trail through the meadows, and now it's broken up, you know, scrambling and all that start, and the peak is still there. So this was another picture from the same summit. Mount Olympus, we have thought of it a couple of times, but haven't really done it. But I'll just give a little idea about it. It's in the Olympics. If you have driven through Olympics are beautiful. If you have gone to Hoh Rainforest, and most people are going to Hoh Rainforest on a little hike. It's beautiful rainforest with huge trees, white trees, very green everywhere. So that's where it starts. A lot of it is flat hiking in the in the beginning. Then there is a glacier is not too big. Glacier part is small, but again, that it's also like a lot of backpacking basically, right? But it does have in the end some of the rock experience again. The summit is rock, and there is a small summit basically. So if anyone who is like, I want to try something totally different, that could be an option. From Asha, officially, I don't think we have offered a date. So if anyone was interested, then, you know, then we will do it. That's the blue glacier. And then if you see, this is the summit is again a little bit rock. And that's Rainier, finally. So is everyone here mostly for Rainier or dreaming of Rainier? Is that what brought you here? Yeah. Well, that's what inspired me to get into climbing. To be honest, the first year I came here and started to work at Amazon, driving over the lake, and, you know, looking on the right side, coming back home, like Rainier, it's just so amazing, right? It's right there, and you want to climb it. So, you know, that's how I got inspired to, like, I took the basic climbing course. I was so into it that I need to climb Rainier, and I signed up like three different Rainier climbs. I climbed twice, you know, weekend to weekend. But it does get old by the, you know, if you keep climbing, of course. There are multiple routes on it that makes it interesting, but, you know, doing the same and same again, of course, can get old. So that's the few different routes this picture is showing. I was talking about it. So there is the most popular is this is a Glacier direct route that's done early in the season. But most popular is Cammuir. Has anyone gone to Cammuir from here? Yeah. Do people know what where Cammuir is? So Paradise, have most people gone to Paradise? So from Paradise, there is a hike that goes up to Cammuir, and it's half of it is kind of a hike, or less than half, sorry, 1/3 or whatever, and then it's more on the snow. But that's Cammuir, and then it's going. Of course, it's not like really by. And then you get to the crater here. There is a rock section in between, Disappointment Cleaver, and then you get to the here. This is the other side, is the Amos route. That's also very popular. So Disappointment Cleaver and Amos route are called the basic routes on it, or the easier routes on it. DC probably the easiest, especially in terms of distances and all, it's the easiest. And then there are technical climbs, which are like a little more alpine ice climb and all that. Like North Liberty Ridge and Ptarmigan and Couds. Couds is a beautiful route. So few facts. It's 14,410 feet is the highest mountain in Washington. Is the highest, I guess, glaciated peak in contiguous US. When I say contiguous US, of course, Denali is the highest. And there are higher peaks than Rainier in Washington, in US, but none of them are glaciated peak. Rainier is the highest glaciated peak. All of them, rest of them are hikes, and many of them you can drive to pretty close and all that. Is the highest volcano. It's 3 to 4 day climb. I mean, there are crazy people who will do it in a day or so. Many people will do it in 2 days. But most people need, we used to do for Asha 3 days, pretty much in the beginning, and then we started doing 4 days. It just was getting, third day was getting too long. We had like some 28 hours days or something, getting out, and then driving back home is like very unsafe. So we do it in now 4 days, and that gives us some extra time to both acclimatize, and then when you come back, then you can stay at the camp. If everyone did were in time, everyone got back. If everyone trained so hard that they were fit and got back in time on the camp on day 3, then we can just go back on day 3 too. But so I was changing a different presentation and then found this one. So this one I didn't get to change, but the dates are different. The dates are June 22, 23, 24, 25. Pretty much exactly the same, except the dates are June 22 to 25. And the reason for that is we've been shifting it. We used to do it in July 18, then we did July 8th, then we did July 4th or so. Last year we did June 29th, and now we are doing June 22nd. And the reason is just whether it's global warming or other patterns changing. It's what it used to be in August or September is now July. It's getting broken up a lot. Last year, Baker Coleman Deming route, which is the most popular route, which I was showing you the pictures earlier, it got closed in July because of rockfall danger and icefall danger and all that. So it's just risk is very low when there is more snow. There is lesser of walking around the crevasses inward. The crevasses are all covered. The rockfall danger is low. The only bad side of early season is weather can sometimes be bad, but overall conditions are better in June, and so we think the risk is lower. We do keep permit for 5 days to have this little bit of weather window. If earlier was looking better or later was looking better, we can do it that way. But it's like kind of that we are looking for that sweet spot when the weather is still good, and the glacier conditions are good too. So that's why we are doing June 22 to 23, 24, 25. The other thing is most people, how am I doing in terms of time? Am I too slow? What time is it? Most people go to from Paradise to Cammuir, which is around 10,000 feet, and then summit and come back, and that's the standard. Some people will do Cammuir and then move to Ingram Flats and then go to summit and back. So just to give you an idea, I was saying Paradise is 10,200 or something. Ingram Flats is 11,200 feet. So it's 1,000 higher. So one advantage of summiting from Ingram Flat is you are closer to the summit. So it's 3,000 feet gain versus 4,000 feet gain, which is a huge difference at that elevation. As you most probably many of people would know that anywhere about 10,000 feet you can have altitude sickness problems, especially above 11,000, 12,000 feet people slow down very much. You can get nausea. So it can be like 3,000 feet there is a lot more than what you would do on a Mount Si or anything around here. So we go on the Ingram Flats. We have tried different combinations, and this is what I like the most. If you go Camp Muir first, setting up camp, melting snow, and then all that takes time, and the next morning again putting the tent back in your pack, setting up the rope team, that takes almost full day, and then getting up Ingram Flats, again flattening snow there, and setting up tents, that can take a long time. And that doesn't give us then enough time to train or rest or acclimatize. So we like, even though day one is bigger this way, 6,000 feet to all the way you are going to 11,200 feet. So 5,000 feet you are gaining with a backpack. So that's a tough day, but you get there, next day you are just chilling or just training and acclimatizing. So you're getting a full rest day. And then day 3 is when you start the summit, of course, again in the early morning or in the night. And now your summit day is shorter, you're fully rested, you're acclimatized. So we find that it increases the chance of summit quite a bit. So this is rest day, practice day, which will be June 23rd. June 24th, early summit, early morning. You start at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. or something like that. From Ingram Flats, even 12 a.m. will be fine. And then summit early morning, then come back to the base camp, stay in the base camp. So two nights we will be 8th, 9th, 10th, 3 nights, sorry, we'll be at Ingram Flats. Unless we got back very early and everyone is like, I want to go back, have a burger, have a beer, let's go back. That's a different thing. But otherwise we stay here. And day 4, June 24th, 25th, we walk down to the and that makes the final day an easy day. This day you can enjoy, take pictures, enjoy your summit and all that, and final day you come down a little easily. So that's a little more, some more picture of the same route. This is Camp Muir. This is the flats here. I mean, this picture, the angle is a little strange, so that makes it not very obvious. But these are the flats here. They are actually flat. It doesn't look flat here. And I'll go through quickly, but as I was talking about, 2010 is when we started with few friends, just for the memory's sake. So a few of us, I believe this is actually top of Adams. This is for the Rainier, I believe. And that's to the Rainier 2010. We summited in a very windy conditions. And as I was saying that there is no like fixed rules in mountaineering. Mostly we do summit night summit, but this one was a morning summit actually, because next day the weather was coming in really bad. The day was so cold that it didn't matter the sun or not, there wasn't much sun anyway, and it was really cold day, so it wouldn't have like impacted snow conditions or so. Sometimes you can make exceptions. There is no hard and fast rules, but 95% of time you do start in the night for the summit. And that's a crevasse, as we were talking about the crevasse. This is a very late climb, by the way. This is a September climb we did first year. It just kept getting delayed, everyone getting ready. So that was in September. Now, I don't think September I can even think of doing a Rainier climb anymore. That's 2011, a little bigger group. That's one of the Asha tents Srijan used to carry. This is 2012. So as you can see, every year the group is increasing, getting bigger. That was one of the most broken. So this was July 20 or so. But that time it was very hot summer. So you can see like how bad it can get when it's been very hot. Earlier in the season, you will never see anything like this. We had multiple ladder crossing. We had these fixed ropes to get help to get up. So it took us a long time to just get over these, waiting for other people, because there is only one person can walk at a time through those, so 1 or 2 persons. So a lot of waiting involved, but we did summit. That's another windy morning, so our banner got all torn. So yeah, just through the years, we kept getting more professional about it, and the group size kept increasing. Just learnings from previous year and training better and all that. So this is one of the night shots as we were getting ready to. Another night shot. I think some of the faces I see here, CJ is in the back, right? And this is, as you can see, a lot more bigger now. So there are two groups that were going. So we used to have the permit also changed. We used to have, the ASHA used to have like a group for 2 groups permits. And then now they have changed any charity or any fundraising climb, they only give 1 group permit. So that's the reason, again, our group is more restricted now. But this one had like around 20 people on the summit. It's probably the record of 20 Indians at the same time on the summit of Rainier. The picture quality is just not very good. I think I took long on explaining all the climbs and all. I just got carried away. But what you need is gear, of course, for any of these climbs that you will rent or buy. A lot of it you'll buy, and some of it you will probably rent. And you'll need a lot of knowledge on gear that we will help with. The ASHA people will help, and then as well as we'll have gear sessions here. Previous hiking climbing experience, and that would tell whether you do like Glacier Peak this year or Baker this year or Rainier this year, especially being limited sports, plus as well as for your own safety and everyone else's safety. If you haven't done much hiking or backpacking, like you shouldn't be doing Rainier first year, right? So you will require a lot of training. So any of it, if it looks easy, it's hard. Any amount of training is low training. But thankfully, every weekend, Karuna, Shahzad, KD, Ashish, and many of the other volunteers, they lead hikes every weekend. And that's another fun, to me, is a big fun part of this whole process. When I was used to be fully involved, was just that, having those chais or tea at the, uh, with friends and at Mount Sai when it's raining, going weekend after weekend, developing that, friendship with everyone in the group, knowing everyone. Otherwise, many times you go and go to Rainier via RMI, you don't know anyone. Here, everyone is supporting each other. Whether if somebody can't find a bar, like here it is, or like everyone is just so much helping to each other, sharing food with each other, and so you will require a lot of training. Technical skills part, of course, we will provide, and that's on us and some of the ASHA leads. But training will be mostly on you. And then in the end, of course, you need a lot of motivation, and however hard you train on the summit day for Rainier or Baker, it will be very hard. You will need that motivation to keep going. On the summit day, as well as during the training phase, it will be raining many times. You will need that. I need to get up, set up my alarm, 6 a.m. Katie said, I have to be there at 6:30, can't be late, so it's just it takes a lot of effort, physical as well as mental. So that's some of the gear you will need. Since I was slow on the earlier slides, unless someone has questions, we will cover these as you get on the climb. But mountaineering boots, ice axe, crampons, backpacks, clothing, that's most of it. This also we can discuss with you later. But as part of ASHA team, you get discounts on renters as well as on buying. In general, at least 20% any gear you buy, you get discount with MIAR as part of that. So that's with that. I will give back to Katie.
Thank you, Sandeep. Let me switch back to my presentation. So basically, for the folks who didn't hear us and just were looking at slides earlier on, and I don't want to bore you guys who are in front of me, but I just want to like cover in 2-3 sentences what we do and what we talked about. Um, so basically, we as Asha again like talk about and go for our fundraising goals to support projects, which probably some of you guys online might have seen some photos of some of the projects we worked on. And we'll be sharing much more information after the session so that you guys can go through it and revisit the same thing. Uh, to move forward, um, all we are here for getting more details about these climbs, which Sandeep was talking about, and what are the dates the climbs are on, what is the registration amount, uh, how much do I need to raise, and things like that. So, firstly and foremostly, I want to talk to you guys about what Asha provides as a training. Sandeep was talking about that you guys will be introducing yourselves to different skills every time as you go forward in your training. And those will be like you may be completely new to hiking, and we will introduce you to hiking, make you aware of what you need to be aware of when you go out, and act as a group, right? After that, we will be introducing you guys to like small snow hikes, and it could be mailbox or it could be some hikes in Snoqualmie or Stevens Pass, but giving you that transition and gradual progression towards your training. And by the time we get there, Mia will be helping us out to give you guys some technical skills training on how to use your mountaineering boots, which will keep not only keep you insulated, but will be awesome to use on snows too, so that you can walk on snow much more efficiently, right? And sometimes we all know like snow can be icier, which means that we could slip on them. So we use like crampon pointy things, which are similar to like micro spikes as you keep on hiking. And we'll introduce those kind of skills to you guys in the month of April. And some of the folks who are doing Mount Suction, we will be introducing them to like intro to rock, running parallel with Miar on how to climb indoors and how to go outside. And maybe you guys have done scrambling on haystack on Mount Si, rather just going to the beyond the tree lines. You might have seen the rock expose itself, and you'll be like, oh, I can probably go there. And yeah, starting there, exposing yourselves with ropes and giving you some more exposure on the altitude exposure level, but being safe throughout the process, right? And we will not only take you physically training to you to that level, but we also talk about how to mentally prepare yourself to that level. um, Having said that, different mountains require different fitnesses. Mount Baker, you guys saw, it's like only 6 miles one way. All I need to do is like 3-4 hours of walk to the base camp, and the next day to the summit is like 5 to 6 hours to the summit, and reverse all of that back to the cars. Uh, Mount Suction, on the other end, is like 6 to 7 hours to the camp on an average, and then 4 hours to the base of the rock. And depending on the people on the rock and what route you choose, it may be another couple of hours, and then you reverse that back, right? Glacier Peak, on the other end, it's 35 miles round trip, 17-18 miles one way, and it is done in like 4 days. So and Glacier Peak is one of those areas where Sandy was talking about, like transitioning yourself from backpacking style to introducing yourself to glacier, which is awesome. And one of the times we do that is in August, where some of the low level snow is melted off and you are exposing yourself to like beautiful meadows and things like that. Uh, Having said all of that, none of that includes much of altitude. Some of the peaks are like 10,000 feet and things like that. Rainier is the bigger one. And if people are doing Glacier Peak, Baker, and Rainier in the same year, we also will give you an opportunity to do Mount St. Helens and Adams. But a couple of peaks which are like at altitude is Mount Adams and Mount Rainier, which is about 12,000 feet or so, and Mount Rainier is 14,000, as we all know. Uh, as we talk about mentally preparing yourselves, we also nowadays do presentations from Dr. Lukes from University of Washington, and we'll be arranging that to you guys to present and talk about how to prepare yourself for altitudes and what does it mean to be at altitude, right? And Sandy was talking about like hiking on Mount Si. might be awesome, and to replicate the same thing at 12,000 feet is totally different. So we will train accordingly. Having said that, that's kind of like the progression in a nutshell. And these are the dates that we offer. So let's get to business, right? So people who are planning to do Mount Rainier, the yellow highlighted dates are the only dates that you can choose. So, and the number of people that we can take on Mount Rainier, as Sandeep was talking about, is limited by the permits and by the national park, which we get like 1 permit a year. And it's a total of 12 people, of which 9 people we keep as climbers and 3 as guides, which means like 3 to 4 rope teams on an average. So you will be doing Mount Baker on June 6th to 8th. I think that's a weekend. And Mount Rainier is June 22nd to 26th. Sandy was talking about June 22 to 25 and having that 1 day of buffer for your sweet spot for weather, right? And June 22 to 26 is like Monday to Friday, I believe, if I'm not wrong. So those are the dates for people. And people who generally want to do Mount Baker and Glacier Peak, those are introductory climbs as well. And I want to give you guys some feedback about who should choose and how you should choose dates. If you're completely new to hiking, I would give myself some more buffer time to get ready for the mountains and choose the later dates. Later dates also mean that there are no climbs actually beyond August, which means like you're climbing in summertime, which would be pretty awesome. Like great weather and things like that, more consistent weather pattern, right? So think about those things. You will have more time to train, and also you will have better weather when you're going out. It doesn't mean that other people are not getting that, but comparatively. The other thing I want to say is for Mount Rainier, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We are this year not doing. Yes. Before I go there, in the training progression, we will be taking you guys on a hikes on high 90, typically more often until mid-April or so. And from mid-April, we typically take you guys on like different mountains nearby, things like that. But we will be exposing you guys to like Camp Muir first, then Mount Adams, and people who are doing 5 volcanoes, they will be given opportunity to do Mount St. Helens as well. Earlier, we used to do like Mount St. Helens as a training hike as well, but this year we may not be able to do that because of permit issues, and collaborating such a big group on different dates is kind of an hassle. But we will be doing some kind of snow in the Bean Peak area, which is like a little bit closer from Snoqualmie Pass. It's about 2.5 hours drive. But that's also a great area to expose yourself to snow climbs. Similar things, similar experiences, but natural progression. So you might see like there's no cost involved with Mount Adams and Camp Muir because those are part of your training and it's already included as people will take you out. But for other things, there is a cost involved, and I'll talk about the registration process. But typically for each mountain, it's about like roughly $750, except for Glacier Peak, because obviously we are doing like 1 more extra day or 4 day of climb, right? So we need to pay those guides for taking care of us. Mount Rainier is like $1,450. It's a 4-day climb. It's not only one climb, but it also includes Mount Baker as your preparatory climb. When you're doing a bigger climb and this is your first time getting into mountaineering, we believe in giving you guys more experience so that you are better prepared on a bigger mountain. So the progression will also be included with the Mount Baker, right? So that's kind of a package. June 6 to 8, June 22 to 26 is like total together $1,450 for that. That's basically the cost for the mountains. Yes. So I'll talk about what does it include, what does it not include, right? So any permit requirement for reserving your camp spots or any payments that you need to do for the National Park Services is all included, except for the one mountain, which is Mount Rainier, where every year the parks require you guys to pay $50 to $55 as a climbing fee recovery amount, something like that. Yeah, climbing recovery fee, something like that. I don't know. I'm messing up my terms. Yeah. I don't think that is included because that is the one that they want individuals to buy themselves, and we cannot buy for you guys, right? So that is the one thing which will be added on top of 1450. So roughly it is 1500, you know. But that is the case with anything out there, any services, any guide companies, any people who have these professional services, they do not include those kind of things because that is the one which individuals need to buy. Yeah, yeah. uh, Liability insurance will be covered. The rescue insurance is upon yourself. I think Miyar has insurance coverage. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the rescue insurance is covered. Cancellation insurance that you can buy separately.
Yeah. So for some reason, if you got injured or not feeling well, I mean, all the fees is like going to the guides and they are booked for you. So we don't want to like, they gotta get paid, right? So we need to pay them. So yeah, I think in the past we have been pretty flexible about like giving accommodation. Like, hey, I thought I would be ready for Mount Baker in June 13 to 15, but I am clearly not. So what should I do, right? Yeah.
The guiding here is to find guides even is very hard. There are few guide companies, there's only a pool of certified guides, and they can work anywhere. So if you don't have work for them, they will work for Alpine Science, they will work for RMI. If you offer them work, you have to pay them.
Yeah. For people online who may not be hearing Sandeep, what he was trying to say is like, if you are scheduled for a particular date, if you get a travel insurance or trip insurance, it would be a great way to like pay the guides who have been scheduled for those dates. Having said that, we are a little bit flexible given certain circumstances that we can work with, but obviously we cannot move the entire group to a different climb. So where was I? What's included, what's not included? Yep. So talking about insurances, permits, gear wise, all the personal gear is upon yourself. And typically the cost of the gear, if you don't own anything, can range from $400 to $1,000, depending upon whether you're gonna buy, whether you wanna rent, whether you like expensive stuff, whether you like lightweight stuff, whether you wanna be efficient on a mountain. Totally varies, you know, and we'll cover that in depth in a different session. So that's kind of a rough ballpark of where you will end up being, right? Other than the personal gear, the group gear, some of the group gears for the big mountain climbs will be included. When I say big mountain climbs, which means the ones which you are paying the money for, or the ones which you're not paying the money for, the group gear will be organized saying that, hey, we need to have like a tent, we need to have stove, we need to have gas. Okay, stove, we do have it because the volunteer leads have it. The tents we might have to rent as a group. The gas we need to buy as a group, you know, things like that, small things we probably need to rent. And that will be divided among the group, right? Yeah. So for the ones which you're paying the money for, that is already included. Yes.
Talking of gear, what Katie is saying, right? Like, you should think of gear not as, or this whole thing not just as this year program, whether it's hiking, whether it's climbing, whether it's gear. You know, as you can see, as so many people from Asha previous year, and that's, you know, very small part of, you know, many of you hopefully would continue at the very least hiking and some other. So all the gear will come to you. You know, you may go Kilimanjaro, you may do Everest Base Camp, you may do some other mountain, or you may just do hikes around year after year, and you will use all that gear. So it's an investment in your own. You know.
The best things is about layers, the clothing. You will never have enough clothing, so that's the best investment. Like you will be better prepared on different outings and different weather conditions over here. Yeah. Regarding the number of people on each climb, it's kind of, you can see that, you can read that. I don't want to read that, but if you have any questions, we can talk about it. The major thing I wanted to talk about it was like Rainier, which is restricted to 9 people. The others is pretty much, we are pretty flexible, but we do have a certain limit because we don't want to take like so many people that our volunteers cannot train you enough. So we want to balance that ratio of participants to leads. But those are listed over here. This will be shared again in an email going out tomorrow morning.
So if you see the dates, right? So the snow skills, the reason it's in April is, and snow skills is where you learn how to use your ice axe and boots and walking in snow, and if you fall, how to arrest yourself. That's in April. So that if you are going on Adams, or if you are going on or St. Helens, which are all snow climbs, or any of the other snow climbs, you are prepared. You have the right tool, not just in terms of right tool like gear, but you also know how to use it properly. And then if you look at the rock climbing, that's right before, a little bit before the Mount Shuksan climb, so that you have the right skills for climbing Mount Shuksan that time. So there is like a progression in.
Yeah. Cool. So let's move on from this slide. I already talked about what do we cover, what do we talk about, how do we train, and you might be wondering like who are we, and who are we as a teaching guides or instructors. Obviously the big mountains which are listed over there, except for the ones which are not paying, and Mount St. Helens is which you're paying, except for Mount St. Helens is guided trips. The ones, let me go back so that everybody can see. So I would say like above snow skills or with the above rock climbing is all guided, and the bottom 3 ones are the volunteer led trips because it's not a glaciated climb. It's not driven to have a professional guide to like take you up there. You can obviously do that, but in terms of that, who are we as like volunteers and things like that? We do have some people who come back every year and train you guys on I-90X and small snow hikes. And we do have a training progression which we train our volunteers who want to come back and give others some opportunity to like train. And they do train, and then they learn about snow conditions, how to instruct, and soft skills as well as technical skills to master themselves before they venture out to help you guys. Having said that, those are the great people to interact as well because they just did some mountaineering climbs when they started for the first time and things like that. So they have interesting stories to talk about, and you guys can form friendships and things like that. The other thing is about all these, Sandeep was talking about that you grow up a community, right? You grow up with the people who are training, who have a same goal, same achievement that they want to focus on, and you try to like interact with each other. That's the greatest thing that I always loved about this program, is like forming that community. What you give, Asha, is obviously your physical time. um, every weekend we do organize 2 trips on I-90 hikes, 2 to 3 depending upon how many we anticipate to register, or how many people get registered. But other than that, there is off the trail training program. People who go to regularly to gyms and things like that, we might nudge them to do a certain types of muscle oriented workouts to get themselves better. But for those who are new to that, there is some coaching program associated with that as well. So that is included. But do prepare time wise that one day every weekend or so. We recommend at least like 3 out of 4 weekends every month that you go out as a group, so that we can see your progression, you can see everybody's progression, and you can check yourself whether you're going throughout every weekend and see your progression at itself as well. During the weekdays, we don't do group oriented gym workouts or things like that, but we do recommend certain things, and every weekend we talk about those things. We do certainly see the benefits out of it, whether people are doing it or not. And if people have been doing it very regularly, then we can see the outcome of that through the training hikes. And of course, the last thing is fundraising for the projects that we that are near and dear to us. There are some other seminars that we do in the month of June, July, which particularly focuses on how to fundraise. If you are having some issues on those things, we can certainly do more talk on that. But if you have any questions before that, we can obviously exchange emails. So that was about the money orientation and time commitment orientation. How about registration dates, and what is the path to go forward, right? Talking about it, tomorrow morning, you will get an email from me about summarizing the entire thing that we talked today in a web page, and maybe some slides as well, so that you can review all those things. After doing that, we recommend you guys to go through a registration process, and thanks to Miar for giving us some discounted prices which were listed in the earlier slide. The process, because of the discounted prices, it's a little bit trickier. So we will have a link where you will be paying the amount to the guide services, and then using that code, using that as your what do you call, a proof of payment, you will send the email to me, and then they'll give you a code, and you can use that code when you register on the links. So basically, we'll be sharing the links, like for example, Mount Baker, here are the links. For Mount Rainier, here is the link, things like that. And once you use that code, the cost becomes zero, and the dates which were listed in the earlier slide will be the only slides where the cost will become zero. Right? So that's where that's how the registration will go through. Having said that, everybody will be free to register whatever they want to do, except for the Rainier folks. I am saying that because in the past we have seen people who are new to hiking, new to mountaineering. They do not have enough progression to get ready by the June. So if you are, let's say, if you are climbing or hiking 2 to 3 times in a month, great, that's a good start. If you have been doing some elevation like Mount Si, Mailbox Peaks already once a month, that's a good start. But if you're not doing any of those, maybe you might want to think about your progression towards Rainier. May not be this year. But we do not want to limit ourselves to experiences. As in the past, we have seen some people do not need experiences, but they are probably fit enough to get on a climb. So what we'll be doing is February 8th. If you cannot make it, that's totally fine. Just send an email that I'm interested in Rainier. What is a different way to get this evaluation hike across? On February 8th, we'll be doing a hike Mount Tenerife plus Si without any weights. Just hiking, just having fun, and we will list out. No. But yeah, we'll be doing that. It's gonna be a long day hike, but it's gonna be super fun, easy pace, nothing big deal. And I'll send out like a evaluation criteria where it's like, hey, you guys are interested in Rainier, we'll just have fun, let's talk more about Rainier, let's talk more about stories, have some tea, have some food, and do this nice circle around Rainier and Tenerife. May not be to the top of the Tenerife, maybe just to the falls, depending upon how we feel on a given day. So there will be something like that, and there will be like time oriented things that I'll be looking out for people. Are they agile? Are they fit? Are they able to do certain type of terrain? Are they like not focusing while hiking and things like that, right? Obviously, some things can be improved, some things will take a longer time. So we will we'll give you a feedback. If you disagree, that's totally fine. We can talk more about it. But after that, we'll be opening up the registration for Rainier, and it will be the same process. For the Rainier folks, the deadline will be February 15th because we'll be doing that. For other folks, you're free to register whatever you would like to. And since I talked about that, I will be sending you guys some emails. And how will I get some emails, right? If you haven't got any email so far, that means you're not registered in our listserv. And if you want to get registered, this is a link that you have to go to and fill up a small Google form, which will be like my name, my number, and my email address. I'm interested in doing this kind of climb. That's all. And once you do that, we'll have your email addresses. And I want to have this by tonight so that I can send you guys email tomorrow. Otherwise, I might have to resend an email. So if you haven't received an email, I'll share the contact details of the email address that you can also inquire, which is seattle.climbing@ashanet.org. So if you're not receiving that by tomorrow noontime, then this is a better place to ping. And hey, I've been waiting for this. I want to really register. I'm pretty eager about it. You know, things like that. So I'm almost to the end of the session. You guys might have questions about clients. You guys might have questions about fundraising. You might have questions about training program. We can always hang out and talk more about it. Before I do that, Sandeep and I personally have talked about how we felt as a group, how we felt of the community growing towards, how we felt about our leads training us and things like that, which is pretty positive and things like that. But we do have Ashwin. Do you want to come forward and talk about your experience? We have AJ as well. I'm just giving some people some, screen time over here. Yeah, just go back forward. Yeah. And let me see if I know Murli climbed last year. I mean, if you want to talk about it, I'm just like shouting out names. Can't get online because I'm too soft spoken right now. Well, I'm sorry. So do you want to go forward and talk about your experience?
Not a whole lot to say other than, how do I do this? Just like that. Okay. For folks on the online and folks here, thanks for the opportunity. I have been with Asha for what, 2 years now? 2016? No, 3 years. So the first climb that I did was Mount Baker, which was phenomenal for me. All of the training that I did with Asha helped quite a bit. And that was the most important thing, is to get trained, because you cannot just think that, hey, Mount Baker is something that I want to do, get out there, do a little bit of hiking, and then, yeah, I have done a lot of hiking in the past, doesn't mean that I'm ready for it. So training is the most important thing. So that's something I learned. And then I came back to volunteer for Asha. So I was also a lead last year. And I was able to do a little better than Mount Baker, which is Mount Adams. Baker is at 10,000, Adams is at 12,000. So one of the things to consider there is, elevation gain. So you're at 6,000 feet or 7,000 feet when you get to Paradise. Breathing is normal, everything is good. 10,000 feet, you're able to make it. And then 12,000 is the next big attempt. And I was able to do all that. And the main thing again is training. So the most important thing is to keep healthy, keep training, and never lose sight of that. And that'll get you to the goal. And that's the one thing I want to share. The other thing I want to share is the experience with all of the climbers who are with you. They become friends, and you enjoy that friendship. And I think someone mentioned having chai or something like that. And it's all about those kind of experience, little things, that make a huge difference. And the reason I came back and I'm volunteering for Asha is not just to keep healthy and keep climbing, but to make new friends. So hopefully this year I come back again and volunteer and help some of you or most of you or all of you to help climb all of these mountains. So that's my experience. I enjoy doing it and I'll continue to do it.
Hi folks, I'm AJ. I've been directly and indirectly associated with Asha, Sandeep, KD and folks for, I don't know, multiple years at this point. I usually show up earlier in the starting days of the of every season, volunteer a little bit, sometimes climb a few mountains, and then go away. But the reason I do that is because I love this experience, like meeting new people, going on all these fantastic mountains, taking great pictures for your Facebook, Insta, whatever, whatever you like. I what can I say? It's an experience you must have if you live in the Pacific Northwest. If you don't do this now, I mean, you will never do this. The best thing to do is just start and not worry about what you will achieve and by when you will achieve it. Just start doing it, get a feel of it. You don't have to do that any year this year. You can do it next year or probably the next one. There are many mountains here, and just get started. Starting is important, and you'll eventually get to the summit, one way or the other. Thanks.
Can just talk to the mic, right? So I joined the ASHA program last year. So in the last 1 year, I'm working with the ASHA team. So I climbed Mount Baker last year. And then as a part of the training, I also did Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams. So one of the things I found quite interesting is there's a lot of volunteers who volunteer their time to do the trainings. It's all completely volunteer driven program. I really loved that idea. So I used to hike every Saturday. There is once you sign up with this program, like in a couple of weeks later, I think by February, the training program starts. And then when I started in last February, every weekend there was training hikes, Saturdays and Sundays. So I signed up for Saturday hikes. All Saturdays I was doing from February to July. My backup climb was on July 4th weekend. So till that time I was doing, and I found so many volunteers helping the new climbers to train, and then use that opportunity if you are signing up, and to be really worth it. So the commitment in terms of time and effort, that's what help you to achieve your goal. So I really enjoyed the program, and I will continue working with the ASA team because I love these mountains. I love the socializing and getting new friends, climbing the mountains, and at the same time keep the health also. Like, so you are working out, so it's good for keeping up your health. So that's all about it. Thanks.
Sorry about you guys to put you on the spot, but I was like, hey, I see these awesome people out here who have these recent experiences, and some of the folks might want to hear about it. I know there are few questions online. I know you might have some questions as well. The one thing which I probably did not cover, and I don't have a slide, is how much do I need to raise money and things like that, right? I think like the registration fee was included, but the fundraising amount is not included in this. So there are 3 guided mountains that we are offering with the help of Miar. Baker, Mount Suction, sorry, 4 actually. So Baker, Mount Suction, Rainier, or St. Helens. Primarily, sorry, not St. Helens, it's a Glacier Peak. Yes, thank you. So every mountain you want to register, it's $750 fundraising amount, a goal basically, right? For Rainier, since you will be doing Mount Baker and Rainier, it's $1,500 as a fundraising amount to be achieved. Obviously, we give you some flexibility and time frame, and we give you some kind of sessions that we can like together work towards like how should we achieve those goals. And you are free to fundraise it in different formats: Facebook, give fund, or different sites. We can also create a fundraising page on our website and share that with your friends, families, colleagues, and whatnot. um, some folks over here fortunately work for a company that does matching. uh, what does that mean for me? Well, the fundraising amount doesn't change. If you donate $375 and match it, it will get $750, and that's all is the goal. Uh,
It doesn't even have to be you. If your friends work there or if they're donating.
exactly. And in order to facilitate those people who do not work for those companies, you can form groups of friends up to 5 and say like, hey, we as a group are climbing this Mount Baker or Mount Rainier, and we want to fundraise together. And the goal amount will be, let's say you're doing Baker, a group of 5, send 50 times 5 as a group. Some people work for Microsoft, some people don't, but everybody gets benefit. So there it goes for that. There might be some more questions, but we can answer that later on.
Price and fundraising.
Absolutely. Go for it.
I just wanted to mention, I know for all of us, right? The money is a concern. But anyway, so when I came, I think 2003 or 4, when I did STP programs here to Portland Bike Ride, and they used to have fundraising amount of $500, and I thought that was a lot. And I didn't know how do I fundraise or how to ask anyone for fundraising. I thought I'll never be able to fundraise, but I cared for Asha. I cared for, also training for biking, cycling and all that, and getting out and doing this ride, and all the support STP people also provide. And of course I cared for the Asha projects. So that was important for me, but I didn't expect I'll be able to fundraise. And I fundraised over $600 that year itself, so when you send out emails to people, you'll be surprised how many people will donate to you. Just don't think of anyone. Many times I would think that, oh, this person looks like he's generous and this person not. You make all these, or this is manager, he will do more, and this guy is my junior, he will not. And that might donate you $300 straight, and this one, so it all varies. But most people are able to fundraise. And then if you do, some people don't like to fundraise for whatever reason. I mean, as Asha, we always promote to go for fundraising rather than paying out of your pocket. There are 2 advantages. One, different people are getting involved, but also then there is more awareness about the projects. They fundraise once, they want to learn about Asha, they fundraise again and again on their own too. So we definitely encourage you, but some people just don't want to do that. But even if you are one of those people, like, I'm not going to ask anyone for fundraising, I'm just going to donate it. And if you just did the total math, even if you don't consider like the that is going for a great project, in terms of finances, like if you look at the Rainier and all, most places fees will be like $1,800 just for a 3-day or 4-day. When they say 4-day Rainier climb, it's actually 2-day on the mountain or 3-day on the mountain, because one day they will do the training at RMI facility or one of those facilities. One day there'll be, so it's actually climb will be 2-day or 3-day. And they're very strict. They will turn you back immediately anywhere. There is no support, additional support. We have had like Narendra is just one example. There was Balaji. There have been few people who have been through different companies, and then they come and do it. And Asha, of course, that helps. And also the Miar guides, like they've been very amazed with how big a difference it is in terms of caring for their success rather than having this machine kind of thing, right? And the second is, of course, when you're doing that math, that even if you do donate, match is one thing, plus whatever the donation is fully, of course, tax deductible. So 20, 30 or whatever bracket you come in. So, financially, even straight donation or money, you would find, and all these hikes and climbs are for free in the side, of course, whether you're doing Adams or St. Helens or any of those. So even financially, it makes sense for your own, community and all that makes sense. And then it's for a fundraising cause, for a great cause. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you for that insight. I was just looking at this slide and scrutinizing every number. And I am thinking, Sandeep, you can correct me on this. Rock climbing skills does have a cost associated with it.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, it is same
Unless
as
somebody already has rock skills, then they don't need to.
Yeah, if you have skills and you have done through enough rock climbing or things like that, you don't have to take that course. But if you do, I believe that's like $100 as well.
It's 145.
145
cost, but we do for Asha 120 last year.
120. Okay, I need to update that. Thank you. But all of the other numbers are the same.
That 1450 is including the Rainier is including the Baker climb also.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that 1450 is kind of 2 days on Baker, 4 days on Rainier, 1 day of snow skills.
Non-Rainier people do 3 days of Baker. The idea is if you're doing Rainier, you would be strong, you'll be training harder, you should be able to do 2 days in a Baker, which we all used to do earlier. When we were doing Asha climbs earlier, Baker used to be 2 days, Rainier used to be 3 days. Now we do standard people who are just doing Baker 3 days and Rainier as 4 days.
Well, having said that, like I think if you are doing a different route which is longer and things like that, which might require you to take longer time, we will be accommodating those things. Yes, so that is all from my side, and I will leave one sec. I will leave this slide on, which has a link to our website where you can give me your email addresses. If you are not getting any information from us, shoot us an email at seattle.climbing@ashanet.org or find us on Facebook. You have a question? Yes. 750 each mountain. Yep. 750 each mountain. As simple as that. Yeah. You're doing 3 mountains. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So that's why it's 3 mountains and. Glacier Peak and Mount Rainier. That means you are doing 3 mountains. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So I would say like we used to do that earlier that, hey, like it's a 2-year program. This year you do Baker, next year come back and do Rainier with us. That way what happens is like you're hogging up some of the spots which other people might be interested in, and you might change your mind, and there have been like few people who have been changing their minds. We do not want to encourage that. If you're feeling like you just want to do Baker, just go for it and next time come back. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. So I want to keep it open for people who are really interested and passionate about it. Yeah, that's basically every registration is first come first serve, right? Even if after our training hike or our evaluation hike we go out and say like, hey, we are ending up with 20 people who are interested, but hey, the registration opens up, it's first come first serve. You book it, you deserve it. Yeah. Yeah, that's where like evaluation hike basically is the criteria where we'll all go out, you'll get the feedback, and the folks who have been selected will know by the end of the day.
But if somebody can't go,
Yeah, so we can exchange emails, and there's a lengthy process for it, so I don't want to much talk about it unless somebody's not available.
So I'm going to India tomorrow. I'll be back on 7th.
Ooh. All right, you might tomorrow and 7th. It's kind of difficult. The registration opens after 8th.
And then the other registrations end at 7th.
Yeah, but you can do other registrations anytime you want.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Even though the deadlines ends up at 7, that doesn't mean that it's gonna end up like we have spots available. Go for it, right? Yeah. So what is my expectation? So there are two plans depending upon the snow conditions on Mount San, Mountain Drift, and how things progress from now till February 8th. We the plan that will always happen is going to the Tenerife Falls from one side of the parking lot, cutting across the connector trail, going up the mountainside, coming back down the mountainside, and connecting to a parking lot on the logging road. That is about 14 miles, and that probably should be done within 8 hours without any backpack weight, given all the conditions. And I'm pretty sure who does hikes every other day can do that. Every other day, as in like twice a month or so. Um, People who are not capable and have different issues than physical limits, like physically some people can do it, but there might be some injuries that they're recovering from and things like that. We will also know that on that day, right? And we can talk more about like how is their recovery going on and things like that. So you'll have personal feedbacks. A general, it will be like the end will end with like a general feedback. Hey, awesome. Hey, let's talk more, and let's talk more. We can go to a bar and talk more. Other people are welcome to have a beer as well, but yeah, that's what the process will be.
Based on that 7th, so all the fundraising has to happen by 7th.
No, so fundraising is until your climbing date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what's due on
The for guiding fees. So the amount which is listed over here is the guiding fees versus and the registration fee, and this is due before your registration. So there is a link. You will go and pay the amount, and everybody at the end of the day or the next day morning will receive an email with a code, and you jump on it, you register, boom. Fundraising doesn't kick in until you start training, and then we will talk more about on a monthly basis, like, hey, let's start your creating your profile, let's start circulating more about your goals, and before you climb, it's a good place to like talk to your friends and family about like what you're planning to do and get some more funds through that, and maybe do a social gathering. These are like brief ideas. Yeah.
So to summarize, like this is the guiding fee plus this, like, for example, if I wanted to pay for it, I have to have a guiding fee of $750 and a fundraiser of $750. Is it right?
so 750 will go out of your pocket to the guiding fees or the guiding fees or any other ending cost.
Right.
And you don't get tax benefit on that. You can't ask for fundraise for that because Asha is 100%. Whatever money raised goes to project. The 750 that you get fundraised, whether it's through match, so it could be 375 as Katie was explaining, or some combination of that. Because if some of your friends work at Microsoft or Google or Expedia, they will get a match. Some may not. So it could be half of that to any.
Sure.
So, but that will fully go to it's tax deductible. It's fully go to Asha. Doesn't go toward any of your planning or
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
Because this was not clear here, like
Yeah, that's why I say like the fundraising is not even mentioned in this slide. This is the registration page. This is the registration dates and the amount that you will be paying for registration, right? Nothing including fundraising over here. Yes. Yeah.
okay. So this is not going to Asha.
No. This is the amount that you pay for the guides to take you on a mountain. Yeah.
I don't think there's a limit for fundraising.
There is no limit. Obviously, you can go more. Yes.
I used to.
The minimum is 50% of the amount which I mentioned for each mountain, but which is basically the end of the climb or towards that when, I mean, like you'll have that information. but obviously we want you guys to like commit to 100%. In case you're not able to do any climbs, then we will say like, okay, let's stick to the minimum and things like that. But if you are able to do a climb, we want to see like, hey, let's all commit to raising 100% of the climbs, and let's see how we can get benefit from each other by marketing things and things like that. So help each other out. Eventually, like every year in the beginning of the year, we say like, hey, we want to do a target raise of $50,000 through this program, and which is the goal for this year. If we meet that, and some people can raise more, some people can raise less. I personally do not have any affection towards one or the other, but let's all do our best to raise 100%. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so in the commitment form, like there's a clause where it's like, hey, I'll be committing to this amount of money, and if for some reason by the date I'm not able to reach that, I'm authorizing my card for paying that difference. Having said that, we don't process that card unless we talk to you. And some people who are not able to meet this year, we are giving them extended deadlines. Like for example, after their climb, they are not doing anything which they want to ask money for, and they might be doing something in winter or early spring that they are really focused like, hey, I'm also doing this for that same cause, and totally use that, and we are pretty flexible for that. Yep.
Otherwise, you donate. You should think of it paying. You are donating to Asha.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
one is paying. That one is donating.
The deadline is such that you don't make the evaluation right, then you run out of time to sign up for it.
So if you don't know that you're gonna do Mount Rainier, well, what can we do? That's a good question. I'm just laughing, but I'm thinking about it in the same time. Um, what I can do is, yeah. So let's say,
Then you pay 700 more, and then you're Rainier. Then because baker you're already doing anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not available before February 8th to do a hike together. But that is one way to do it. Go ahead and register. And if you also want to do Rainier, come on February 8th. And if you're selected, you pay the difference, and we can arrange those things. Now, you can decide that. You know the commitment, you know your fitness levels.
So it looks like we have a lot of people signing up in the next time. So would there be a possibility of adding more days to picture or?
So this is basically depends upon the number of people, and we can currently take about like 30 to 33 people total, because we have certain limit of trips that we can do every weekend. We have a certain limit of volunteer bandwidth that can accommodate those kind of people. We do want to have that balance so that you get more benefit out of it. And obviously there are other things such as regulations of national parks and forests which doesn't allow us to take bigger group climbs or hikes in on the trails, right? So there's a limitation on that too. So having done all of that math, we feel pretty comfortable with 30 to 33, and these are the dates we are open up. But for some reason you're not able to do these dates, and we are still within the limits, we can certainly talk about it.
For Rainier, the answer would be no.
Yes.
For baker, there is a possibility if you are like, oh, June, I February or whatever, but I really want to do baker, we can still talk about. What about Glacier Peak? Glacier Peak also, we can, if you like, just August dates don't work for me because I'm traveling and I want to do Glacier, so that we can still talk. I mean, we would prefer to keep these dates for Glacier people, but every year there are some people who can't do for some reason or other, and then they go on another plan.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes your business trips comes up and then you're like, I cannot do this.
Last year we had 3 different Glacier Peak climbs where Asha people would went all the way from June
and 2 in August.
Yeah, I mean, having said that, we are flexible, but we want to stick to a certain schedule so that we can accommodate you in your training program. And in this way, we can also see like when you're climbing and take you through that progression rather than like getting everybody ready by May and then you're like, what should I do now? Right. So, yeah.
So for your so this for people for Rainier is to book for Baker. Otherwise, you may miss that spot.
So I think I'm having second thoughts about this, and what I'm thinking about is, and this is only my choice, my decision right now, or my thinking, which obviously I need to talk about with certain people, is open every registration on February 8th.
I think that to me, at least that makes sense.
Yeah. So that you make your payments, everybody can register from February 8th to February 15th. Everybody has an equal opportunity. And if they want to do Rainier, come hike with us on February 8th. Yeah, let's. I think I'm feeling much more positive about it. But you will hear about it. Yeah, let's talk. I will talk to a few folks, but tomorrow morning you will hear more about it. But I think it can be that or the other thing which we talked earlier. Yeah, that's a good discussion. Even though I laughed about it, that's a good one. Yeah. Any other questions? Until Camp Muir, it's not roped. And after Camp Muir, because you'll be walking on glaciers, you will be roped up. Pretty much any walk that you'll be doing on glacier, you're mostly roped up, unless the guide feels this is much more safer for not being roped up. But those are pretty scarce on these mountains.
Is that included for the Rainier folks or so for the Rainier folks they have a
So snow skills hike, yeah, they are included. Mount Adams, Camp Muir are included anybody who wants to register with us. Camp Muir hike to Camp Muir is included. Basically, an attempt, you know, an attempt to Mount Adams is included. Mount St. Helens is not. Uh,
What is the 5 volcanoes thing? Is that sorry?
so if you want to do 5 volcanoes, what are those mountains, right? Mount Baker, Mount Rainier, Glacier Peak, and St. Helens, and obviously Mount Adams. So
What's the fundraising for that? Is there a separate
count the mountains, 3 mountains. So, but I would give you a discount of $250, so bring it down to 2,000.
basically, so when you're saying 5 volcanoes, you're registering for Glacier, Baker, and Rainier, and you're getting the other 2.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're
So you're actually paying, let's say Baker is $750. Sorry, Mount Rainier is including with Baker, which is 1450. And then Glacier Peak is 825. So that adds up to 2275. And St. Helens is 105. So you add that up, that is your registration fee. Your fundraising goal is 2000. Obviously, you're doing a bigger blow. So we believe that you can do that kind of fundraising goal. So yeah.
So it's question about, so earlier we had the 5 volcanoes in 2 years. So even the 5 volcanoes will be the same year? Or
Same year. If you feel like because the dates are pretty flexible, you will be climbing Rainier by end of June, which opens up doing Glacier Peak in August. So you're pretty much fit by then to do that, and you just need to do more endurance hikes to keep up with it, and it's possible.
I was just wondering whether the snow skills are they mounting snow for the or they
So the location for these. The location for the snow skills is kind of set as Snoqualmie over here, but it could vary depending upon snow conditions and weather, right? And we might either go to Stevens Pass or Paradise or Snoqualmie. Oh yes, those are the primary skills because you will be hiking with your new equipment, which you are not trained. So you need to get trained. Yeah, not all of the dates.
those are the available dates. You can do any dates.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same skill provided on all of those dates.
What is the first hike you have apart from February? Process must start from February.
So Feb 8 to Feb 15 is the registration per period, and then the third week of February is where we'll all get together and talk more about like, hey, this is a training schedule, and this is what like we will have much more in-depth talk about the training, and then by the end of February we'll start hiking. Thank you.
Anytime you have the classroom sessions on Saturday or Sunday?
Most of the classroom sessions will be weekdays, evening after work. We all are aspiring outdoorsy people. We want to spend weekends in the wilderness. And those are pretty much covered in like 2 to 3 hours. It doesn't take much time to cover each topic. And we'll have like 4 to 5 sessions every month. Think about like having one classroom session and a new skill to learn every month.
I missed to, because I had all these pictures from last couple of years with the Rainier Glacier. Since I missed to show them, would you send those?
I will send the pictures and maybe.
From last 2 years.
Sure, I can do that.
To give you all an idea of what the mountains look like.
I think some people, I know like you have a question, I'll get back to you. So let's see. What kind of hikes do you typically do? Okay. Mount Baker is a good starting climb, which doesn't include much endurance requirements, right? So if you feel that you're coming back and you are not endured enough to go on like longer trips, which definitely is a part of the training also, we feel like Glacier Peak and Baker are good beginner level climbs, which is pretty much easy to train in like 4 to 5 months. Having said that, the commitment, we talked about it, the time commitment, not only on the trail over the weekends, but also at the gym workouts, will get you better throughout the process. And
So in my experience working with Indian beginner people who kind of people who grew up planning or skiing. Yeah. So the Baker, even though it's physically not very demanding, for a lot of people at the when it gets closer to the summit and the Roman wall, and then coming down, like people sit down, or, they're not even walking, they're getting scared. So it also depends on along with the stamina, like how have you done any snow hikes, or how you feel about snow slopes. Some people get very, very scared and they sit down with the snow. If that's the case, I would definitely recommend Glacier Peak. One, it will give you a longer time. It goes you until August to train. Plus, it's never so steep. One small section of steep. So both those, but otherwise, Keith is very right. If you feel a little bit comfortable in snow, you think you can mentally prepare yourself, you're not someone who gets scared easily,
yeah, don't be too scared of exposure. Like you will have enough time to like get used to that. And
But as a guide, I've had multiple times.
you have to, as a guide, you have to devise some problems and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad and I'm amazed that they're able to do it from not having any experience climbing before. People
Yeah.
sports and having no experience to get to the summit of Rainier or Baker, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have that.
Yeah. So pretty much this table will have like much more text to it when I send out tomorrow on a different web page, and we'll say like, hey, you climbing this, these are the dates, but then you have to choose one of these along with your climbs, right? So giving you a little bit more explanation of like what are the necessary things that I need to register for, right? Having said, and then going back to what you guys are talking about is what climb is suitable for me. Beginner levels, Baker and Glacier Peak. Yes, for training, right? Yeah, for endurance training, you have more time. Uh, and if you are pretty much sporty about like you have done some indoor climbings or have done some like basic scrambles, gone on rocks and things like that, played around, mount section is a good climb too, like because if you feel comfortable around it. And then Rainier, of course, needs like much more endurance and much more training towards it. Yeah. Feb 8th. Like, are you out of town completely? Okay. Are you capable of doing any hikes before that? Okay, let's talk about it. Yeah. So basically, like, we're not available on Feb 8, and you can do hikes before that or around that time. Obviously, the registration starts on February 8th, so we want to do earlier. And I'll be asking you guys to like send your tracks and things like that, doing a particular same hike. And I will have personal one-on-one conversation saying that, hey, this does matter. And then let's talk about the factors that will take throughout the process from now till the end of training that will get you ready for Rainier. And then we will have a, like, obviously, like when I talk about this, it's not going to be like, hey, you're ready, you're not ready. Like, let's talk more than that, right? Let's see like whether you, with what it requires, and whether you understand that, and you also are on the same page as I am on that decision. Well, I yeah, send an email, that would be good. Yeah. You will be jet lagged on 8th, but I can give you consideration of jet lags on 8th. I cannot give you considerations for fitness, but yeah. Well, all right, guys, online, thank you for joining us. We will share more information. If you have not registered, go to our website and sign up so that I can send you more information on it. Thank you, guys. And if you have any questions, send us an email.
Yeah, so you have Ashish, we need a lot of training, and yeah, these guys have been studying for the last 2 years. Yeah, it's a different experience. Thinking about you all thinking of Rainier?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
We're thinking for a
yeah,
while.
I mean, like, stay in touch. Communication is a big thing. If we lack some communication, then obviously it's gone. If you have communication, then it works good.
Yeah, you can see yeah.
More questions?
He was telling that
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good start. It's a, like, achieving it is like,
we'll have to take a call on that, not sure yet. I think make sure you can do that. Especially if we have, now what I don't like it's nicer when there are two people from Asha together on the time. And that's why so lots of it ended up being too rare. It's kind of just fun, but more fun. Yeah. So only video of all of you are coming for a day. It's 4 months in advance. Closer it becomes more. But if you like 3 of you or 2 of you decide to Katie says
there is really
Yeah, I mean, all of these peaks, none of them will come back, stay in one line. But I had a Glacier Peak who came back and was.
Sorry, Shazir, I mean, you still have a snow for the last.
Yeah, that's how it helps. August weather is also pretty nice. Beautiful meadows, a lot of flowers. Like it's just all experience. And there's nobody on the summit. Like when I did Glacier Peak, so weekdays actually help. Weekday helps, yeah. So for Rainier, that's why we do like weekday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, unless people have a I like weekday.
How bad is it?
No, man, I like bed. Yeah, sure.
Thinking September?
It's really like it's not like I
I personally wouldn't do it. I paid if I make it help, there is a good chance. But there is some chance that's not very good. So for September, both things, the weather can be pretty bad. Fully broken up. Both the things.
Yeah, that's sure.
But there could be a chance there.
Nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.